Support the show by donating at themusicbuds.com. Thank you. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Music Buds podcast. This is episode number 16, and my name is Henry. This week, I am honored to be joined by composer Marco Beltrami, known for a huge number of acclaimed projects, including 3:10 to Yuma, The Hurt Locker, the original Scream, Snowpiercer, World War Z. I mean, just the list goes on. And Marco, I can't tell you what a pleasure it is to have you on the show. It means a lot.
Well, happy to be here. It's crazy times, and I know a lot of people are stuck at home, so it's good.
Well, how's life for you overall these days, all considering?
It's not too bad. I mean, as a composer, you spend a lot of time by yourself in a dark room anyway, so social distancing isn't really a problem. I think the biggest challenge is that we're not able to do so much with musicians. You know, it's hard to get musicians in a room and play. Things are lightening up a little bit, but it's been a problem. We've done a few scores and we've had to record overseas, in Budapest or wherever. And it takes away a lot of the fun of what I enjoy, which is actually making the music.
Yeah. How did you get started? Because I remember you having said that film composing wasn't what you necessarily set out to do.
Yeah. I started playing music from a young age when I was a kid, piano lessons and all. But when I got into college, my parents didn't really want me to pursue music. So I went to, I got a liberal arts education. I actually studied geology, and then but I realized it wasn't something that I wanted to do at all. And on my own, I applied to music school, and I started writing concert music, just, music for different, usually academic settings, but not always. And I didn't really know much about film music at the time, but I had an opportunity to come out and study with Jerry Goldsmith because there was a program at USC at the time. So I did that, and that's really where I started learning a lot and just being really intrigued and attracted to it. And I feel like it came pretty easily. I feel like I, have a strong visual component to musical thought, so it seemed to work well.
Yeah. A few projects I wanted to touch on. So The Hurt Locker, which you got an Oscar nomination for, it's really a favorite film of mine. And having gone back earlier today and listened to those tracks, they're so intertwined into those scenes that they are in. Like hearing, There Will Be Bombs or The Way I Am, those tracks immediately, they just evoke those images so strongly.
Yeah. The thing that was unique about The Hurt Locker was that up until that point, I always conceived of music as being something separate from the whole sound environment. Like there was the sound department that did sound effects and all that stuff. And then there was the music department. And I always, when they're mixing the movie, there'd be a dialogue mixer, a sound mixer, and a music mixer. And this always seemed like to be a separate thing. But on that, it was really a question of music and sound working together, and sometimes not knowing if something is coming out of the sound or the sound is set in the music, or really blurring those worlds. And I think that what led to make Hurt Locker such a visceral thing is that it has an almost quasi documentary feel like to it, and the music really is to enhance that experience without taking you out of the picture, without saying, "Oh, all right, now here's a music cue."
Mm-hmm. Another aspect of your work that I just respect so much is you are incredibly prolific. You do a number of projects across a variety of genres. Does that kind of pace help your work ethic?
Yeah, probably. One of the things I love about film music is that you can really cross genres, and I don't really see, music is music to me. I think the only genre I really haven't done much of is like romantic comedies or anything, but probably because I just take myself too seriously. I also have, over the years, have developed really good relationships with other people. Like I know my limitations. Like I was trained with, with pencil and paper. Computers are a challenge for me.
Yeah.
I can turn them on, but it's about, I've learned one program and that's it. So
Yeah.
like I have here in the studio with me, my partner, basically co-producer Buck Sanders, who works on pretty much everything that I do. And
Mhm.
there's also a couple other guys, Brandon Roberts and Marcus Trump, and people that help out on different scores. They have different strengths, and I'll have them help. That's one of the things also that I love about film music is that it's really collaborative. Is that you're, even though we work alone in dark rooms, that you share ideas and you're not just totally in isolation. So
Yeah.
I think that's one of the great things.
Yeah. Jumping ahead a little bit to Snowpiercer, which is just a brilliant film. One track that really sticks out to me is Axe Gang, where they come across this huge army of these axe wielding thugs. And it's such a percussive, sharp, booming track. And I know that there are so many layers to that movie. Was it difficult or exciting doing that kind of film where there are so many, for lack of a better word, parts?
I mean, it was an awesome experience working with Bong because he started thinking about music before he started even shooting. Like
Hmm.
we met and he was showing me just drawings that he had for the different scenes, and I started sending him musical ideas, and I sent him things even before he was done shooting. And the Axe Gang scene was that was the first piece of music I actually wrote to the picture.
Hmm.
Like he sent that, and I thought, oh man, it's like something really futuristic about it, but also very raw and primitive, and really had fun taking acoustical things, sounds, and mutating them and coming up with the sounds that are in that track that you're talking about. So it was really collaborative.
Yeah. In terms of, I mean, I guess your music speaks for itself, but are real instruments, real things very important to you in terms of maintaining a good grounding for the music?
Yeah, I think that's the basis for most of what I do. Even electronic things are grounded in acoustical signals because I think the human element is really important to
Hmm.
keep. I just think there's so much possibility when somebody plays an instrument of just manipulating things, of just a single tone, the way someone like a string player might play a single note there's like infinite variations to that.
Yeah.
And if you're able to sort of shape that acoustically first and then manipulate it, you can really accent things that you want to bring out. So
Yeah.
much more than you can with starting with an electronic signal, I think.
Yeah. One project, kind of just skipping through here, one project I really wanted to make sure to ask you about is Turn, the Washington's spy series with Jamie Bell about the Revolutionary War. If that is not one of the coolest shows, I mean, it's just when I saw it for the first time, I was just so hooked. And how did you get involved with that project?
What's really funny is that that show takes place in a town in Long Island called Setauket. That's where the
Hmm.
spy ring started. And when I heard about them doing this show, I was like, Setauket? That's where I'm from. That's where I was born.
Oh,
And
really?
yeah, and that's where my parents live. And in fact, and the things that they're talking about in the show, the places and all that, I know all those places. But
Wow.
when I was growing up in school, we never learned any of this stuff. We never learned about the history of the place. So like when I was watching this show, I'm like, are you kidding me? This is what happened here and all that. So it was like, I really pushed for that. I really wanted to do that show for that reason. And it turns out the showrunner of that is amazingly creative, and he's actually moving on to some other things as well, which I really hope to be a part of because
Yeah.
it's not all the time that you meet like the creator of that show that are just really. I think he's like a genius.
Yeah.
So I'm glad that you like it. It doesn't have a huge following.
I love that period and I love that kind of story. And Yeah, I was hooked ever since it first aired. So yeah, I just wanted to
I
send
think it's
my
a little austere for a lot of people. Like it's like kind of boring or whatever. It's a little stodgy, but to me, it was like really interesting. I really like that you dug it.
yeah. Now with A Quiet Place, which you've also worked on the sequel that's going to be coming out. What was it like doing a movie like that that is so quiet?
I think the interesting thing is that as soon as you make any sound musically, even if it's very delicate, like it has an impact. So it's like you're much more aware of little nuances that you're making, and silences can be used as a musical effect as well. Like I think it's integrating silence into the music is effective. You know,
Mm,
you can use it as an element and have little sounds come out of that.
yeah. What was it like working with John Krasinski, who directed and starred in it? Since he directed films before that, but I guess he had done more so acting. What was it like
Yeah, I mean
collaborating?
it's challenging director to work for. It's he's basically his first movie, you know,
Mhm.
and music's an abstract language, so it's sometimes hard for people to develop that skill of, you know.
Sure.
So, you know, it was a bit of a learning curve, I think, both for him and for me on how to play him stuff that he could hear and see how it could work into the picture. But in the end, you know, we developed a process. I would send him music. You know, he came out to the studio a few times, but for the most part, he was in New York and I was in LA. And I would send him music, and he would listen to it, and things that he liked, he would try against different scenes in
Mhm.
the picture, and that seemed to work better than actually playing music and putting it with a scene like I might do with another
Sure.
director here, because it sometimes it threw him a little bit.
In terms of you collaborated with a lot of people, a lot of directors, and a lot of other composers, do you find that over time those collaborations become easier because you find a shorthand, or is it different because you maybe both grow more confident?
Yeah, I
What's
think
the
it's both. I think it's
yeah?
both of those. Yeah, I mean, as you get more confident, you do develop a shorthand. With Guillermo del Toro, I remember I worked with him, and there was this effect that I used to use with strings. And then when we were talking about another movie, he would say, "Oh, you know, do that thing," and he would sound it out, and you know, I would know exactly what he was talking about when he would say that. But it's also a comfort level, I think, too, like trusting trusting each other, trusting that the composer is on the same emotional wavelength that the director is, you know, that type of thing.
Yeah.
That everything that is meant to be understood from the picture is, and so
Yeah.
forth.
One of the last things I just want to ask you, because we're running out of time. Your work, you've not only done such great work, but it seems like they have also have such a great long lasting impact in life to them. You know, like even going back to the original Scream or I, Robot. I mean, those films are still beloved and they're still talked about. And I feel like that doesn't happen all that often. And it seems like you have so many that have that impact.
Wow, that's great. Thanks. It's great that some of the movies I've done have done really well and people still watch them. Yeah, Scream definitely has a little bit of a following to it. You know, I feel fortunate in that regard. It's something that you can't really plan for, but if it happens, it's great.
Yeah.
So,
Who are some musicians that you first connected with? Were there any that come to mind?
you mean when I came out to LA, or just?
I mean, it could be either when that happened, or it could be when you first got into music. Were there any
Oh,
that
well,
really?
I'll tell you, like in terms of film music, what really inspired me when I first started hearing scores of Ennio Morricone,
Oh
like his
yeah,
spaghetti western scores, and how he would treat, again, found sounds as music. Like I think
yeah,
that's really cool, and that was really inspiring to me. Nino Rota, another Italian composer that did the like Fellini
hmm
films, I
yeah,
was really inspired by his work, and probably Bernard Herrmann. I think those are probably my three biggest influences in film music. I mean, I have some other, there's, just regular music influences that I doubt any of your audience would know, like Jacob Druckmann, who is a composer, American composer that I studied with and had a big impact on my orchestration and arranging skills and how I hear instruments back when I was in school. Yeah, I think those were probably the most formative, and this is what got me into it, like why I want to do it.
Yeah. Well, Marco, I love talking to you. I wish we could keep going, but I know you have some other meetings coming up. And so, again, thank you so much for the time. I mean, it really means so much, and I just have the utmost respect for your work. So thank you.
Well, thanks, Henry. It's a pleasure talking with you. Is this your home studio here?
Yes, home studio, quote unquote.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And where are you again?
I'm in North Carolina, Central North Carolina. Yeah.
All right. Well, my partner Buck here is from South Carolina, so he would call you a Yankee.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. Anyway, it's good talking to you, and thank you for your interest.
My pleasure. All right. Well, everybody, we hope you enjoyed it as much as we did, and we'll see you next time.